And I just kind of contorted myself to fit a box that isn't really me.
Yeah.
I learned that my story is the most important part of everything.
Yeah.
Because that is what helps people see themselves in it.
Even if we get replaced by AI for just about everything, people's hearts will open up when they hear other stories.
Our hearts, our emotions, our intuition cannot be replaced by AI. And so I stood up, interrupted the presentation because of that, because I followed intuition, that we closed a $20 million deal. We're taught that emotions aren't valid data, that gut feelings aren't valid data, but actually those senses are developed before our rational mind, before our logical mind. Your relationship to your sexual energy is your relationship to creation.
High involvement, low attachment, right? Fully passionate in it. But if you could really detach your self-worth around that thing succeeding or not, that tends to be the cheat code to making it happen.
You don't want to date somebody who's needy.
Yeah.
You want to date somebody who's whole and sovereign and confident in and of themselves, because the human body is the bridge between the quantum field, energy, frequency, and physical form. So your erotic intelligence is your life force energy, that creative force, which means you're creating for the greater good.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Because your heart is what attunes to other hearts.
Welcome to Aware with Seb, a globally ranked podcast about leveling up your mind, business, and life. I bring you experts, artists, and CEOs. We talk money, biohacking, mindset, AI, leadership, and spirituality. Everything that makes you more aware. Because awareness makes better humans. And better humans make better friends, partners, lovers, and leaders. Let's go. Jess, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Love it. Love it. Love that you're here. What was your last oh shit moment? That's the first thing that comes to my mind. Last oh shit.
Oh shit moment. Literally nothing comes to mind. That's not very entertaining.
Something's gonna come to mind. Could be great. It could be bad.
Shit moment.
Yeah.
Okay, well, oh shit was speaking on stage in front of 10,000 people, walking off stage, being like, fuck, that wasn't my message. Like, oh shit.
Wow.
It was that, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get into that in
Okay.
a second. But actually, we don't have to wait to get into that.
Okay.
Why did that happen? How did that happen?
So I was in a speaking competition for Grant Cardone, and the 7 finalists spoke at MGM Grand in front of 10,000 people at his 10X Growth Con. And we only had 2 minutes, and I thought we had 3. So at the very last minute, I cut out like my core personal story that really shares who I am and what I do. And I was just kind of trying to fit this massive body of work into a 2-minute thing that fit a business audience.
Yeah.
And I just kind of contorted myself to fit a box that isn't really me.
Yeah.
And so I got off stage just being like,
Yeah. That's tough because, you know, you're trying to balance between speaking to the audience, speaking to this competition. So you got judges, you got a panel. It's Grant Cardone, which is like such an interesting energy of like 10x, 10x, 10x. You know what I mean?
which is not my energy at all.
Right. So you're trying to. So it's interesting because sometimes it's like smart to speak to the audience and adapt your message, but then all of a sudden like getting cut off one last minute. So that's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. What'd you learn?
Yeah. I learned that my story is the most important part of everything.
Yeah.
Because that is what helps people see themselves in it.
Yeah.
And I learned that even if I'm speaking to one person in a room of 10,000, always speak to my person.
That's good. That's great. Obviously, I love this. Is great for me to hear too as a speaker myself and things like that, because stories really is what resonates. Stories resonate. The storytelling, that's like one thing that's been around since humans
Ancient times.
Yeah, since we could speak language to each other. It's like stories. That's it. And that's going to continue to resonate. Like, I don't care how much AI comes into play. like people resonate with real human stories.
Yes.
And even if we get replaced by AI for just about everything, people's hearts will open up when they hear other stories that resonate.
Stories, our hearts, our emotions, our intuition cannot be replaced
Yeah.
by AI.
Totally.
And I really had that experience because it was the Shark Tank guy that was there. I forgot it. Robert something was one of the judges.
Yeah.
And then some other billionaire who I didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
But like I felt him and I saw him. And I felt like he saw me. And so when I got off stage, he actually spoke later and I heard him speak and he was talking about energy.
Really?
And creation. And I was like, oh, he would have totally understood like my actual message. So yeah, it's like if you're really just true to your authentic story and transmission and speak to even if it's one person in an audience, that's what's going to take you where you want to go.
I love that.
Yeah.
So Jess, you closed a $20 million deal on intuition, and that's something that you've talked about in other places, and I know I've seen on your website, but like somebody hears that on the outside, they're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Get out of here with closing a $20 million intuition. What happened? Tell us a little bit about that.
So I was a financial advisor.
Okay.
I was working in finance. I was in the business development role. So I was gathering assets, putting together financial plans, bringing in these people, talking to them about their net worth, and alongside the asset managers, we would give these big presentations, try to win the business. And I created a foolproof plan. Foolproof financial plan based on logic, based on all of the tangible data that they had given us. And we are in this presentation, and my partner, my coworker, was giving his part of the presentation. And I'm an intuitive. I'm a clairvoyant. I feel people. I see people, the unsaid, the unspoken. And there was a moment where I knew we were losing him. I was like, I could feel it.
Yeah.
His mind was going elsewhere. His body was closing. His energy was shifting. And I was like, tried to kick my partner under the table. And he thought it was an accident. He like pushed his chair away. And I'm like, how is this man so oblivious to what is glaringly obvious to me? And so I stood up, interrupted the presentation. My coworker was so caught. He had no idea what was going on. But I was like, I have to go beyond logic right now and follow my intuition, which is picking up on intangible data that I am confident is going to win us this deal if I can actually take this data and bring it to the table, even though everybody else in the room isn't picking up on it.
Yeah.
And we ended up switching the conversation, proposing an entirely different solution for him that would have not made sense on paper. And it was because of that, because I followed intuition, that we closed a $20 million deal.
So in terms of what you proposed, so you interrupt the meeting, and so the meeting actually paused, it stopped, like you took a break, and then I'm just curious as to how that happened.
I interjected.
Yes.
And I interjected and I asked him a question.
Okay.
In order to shut him up, shut up my coworker, and start to engage with the prospect.
Yeah.
And I was intuitively feeling that there was like ancestral patterns coming up, that there were like emotions that were unresolved. Again, things that you don't know on paper.
And were they fear around the deal that he was going to be making, the original deal?
It was certain things that I was able to uncover by asking him intuitively led questions to lead him to tell me what I was intuitively picking up on. And then he ended up revealing all these things that were affecting his decision-making process and some emotional factors involved. And that helped steer us in a completely different direction.
So you steered it, like when he was you helped him basically reveal this. So now everyone else was aware of the reasons he wasn't making this decision. And then that caused the shift in the plan that you guys had.
Yes. So that I had to just turn the wheel. And then my coworker who was leading was now following this new direction and getting on board with it that he was completely oblivious to otherwise.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So cool. When did you realize that you had stronger intuition than most other people, or clairvoyance in general?
I mean, I've had it ever since I was little.
Okay.
I always knew things I had no way of knowing. I saw things. I was just very aware. And it was around age 5 or 6, I specifically shut down my clairvoyance, which is like clear seeing, because of a scary experience.
Clairvoyance means clear seeing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny because clairvoyance sounds like some BS woo-woo term for most people, where it's just like this, almost a lot of people see it as fake, probably because a lot of people that use it wrong.
Yeah. Soothsayers.
What is it?
Soothsayers.
Soothsayers.
It's like, so, okay, we are all wired as intuitive beings with intuitive senses.
Okay.
For example, you have a baby, your baby cries, you know exactly what that cry means.
Yeah.
That's an intuitive sense. You just know.
Right.
We're all wired this way, but we're conditioned to value logic over intuition. And so slowly but surely we shut it down over the years and we learn to distrust it. So we stop following it. And then we learn that it's fake or it's woo-woo or it's not really valid.
Why do we suppress it, though?
Because our culture values logic. Our culture values tangible results. Can you measure it? Can you touch it?
Yeah.
And we're taught that emotions aren't valid data, that gut feelings aren't valid data. But actually, those senses are developed before our rational mind, before our logical mind. They're more inherent in our nature. But with cultural conditioning and going to school and learning how to study information and regurgitate information, we're not taught how to harness this as a skill set. And so most people lose it, but it can always be turned back on.
So you turned it off at 6? Mm-hmm. When did it turn back on for you?
In my 20s.
In your 20s?
Yep.
So like yesterday?
Thank you. Yes.
So, and why? How did it turn back on?
It was after a heartbreak.
Okay.
I was in my early 20s. This is, 15 years ago now?
Yeah.
Working in finance, early 20s, in a relationship. And it was my adult heartbreak where I was broken up with out of the blue. I didn't see it coming. It was like, and it tore my heart open. And I started going to yoga. And it was a combination of my heart cracking open and engaging in a practice that uses breath and body and presence, that all of my intuitive senses just flipped online. I mean, I'm seeing things, feeling things, hearing things, sensing things, and it was so overstimulating and overwhelming. And this was before spirituality was trendy. This was before there were crystals on Instagram and you could call your neighborhood healer or your best friend's shaman. This wasn't a cultural thing at the time. And so I felt crazy. But I knew it was true and it was real. And I just kind of found mentors along the way to help me harness it as a skill set. And because I was working in finance in the business world, while also using my intuitive abilities on the side, I ended up attracting a lot of similar people that were executives, entrepreneurs, people in the business world that could really relate to me having a foot in both worlds and being able to bridge the tangible and the intangible and use them together as a skill set and a superpower rather than having to choose. Yeah,
I love that. I love that bridge. I just love this, all of the stuff in general. And so I wanted to ask you though, there's a moment where you said you had strangers lined up for intuitive insight from you. What was that about?
Oh man.
What was that about?
This was divine intervention. So I'm working in finance. And have you ever been in this position? You're working a job or you're in a career or something and you're like, this isn't it. I know there's more for me. What's my purpose? What's my path? I think a lot of
One
people...
time. I never really had much of a job in my life. I've never had a quote-unquote real job.
Yeah.
But I had one for a year.
Or even your own business. People I've created a business and you're like,
yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I was in that position.
I'm sure everyone has that.
Exactly.
At some point.
And it's I was seeking. And this was around the time that my intuitive gifts were coming online and I was practicing behind the scenes, behind closed doors, energy healing.
Yeah.
And intuitive reading. And I went to a yoga festival in Houston And there were like booths of different vendors and things like that. And me and some friends were sitting in a meditation circle, just like meditating, dropping in. And a stranger came and I just waved my hand like this for him to sit next to me. And I didn't touch him. And he shot back and goes, "What was that?" And I was so embarrassed. I sat on my hands. I was like, "I don't know." And the girl next to him was like, No. I felt that too. You're obviously a very powerful energy worker. If you're not doing this, take this as a sign. You have a gift. You've got to do this.
Well, what did you do?
I did nothing. I mean, they just felt my energy. And I was like, okay. A stranger sat down in front of me, expecting energy work and intuitive work. And I was like, okay. And I kind of rubbed my hands together.
Yeah.
And I just moved. I didn't touch her. Moved my hands around her body, like feeling her energy field. And was like, "Do you have pain in your lower back?" She was like, "Yes, chronically." And no one has been able to figure it out. It's like, okay, well, what I'm seeing is like a crack in the foundation of your life. And you have one foot on either side. And it's going wider and wider. And you have to choose. And she broke down crying and said, "Oh my God, I'm in a marriage. I'm thinking of leaving my marriage, but I have a son and I don't want to rock his foundation.
Wow.
I have one foot in, one foot out. I don't know what to do. I'm at the point of needing to choose. How did you know that?" And she cried in my arms and said, "This changed my life." And then I looked up and there was a line of people who waited over an hour in the Texas summer heat just from word of mouth saying, "Oh my God, my friend had an experience with you. Yes, like miracles, energy. I don't know. Can I do it?" And I did these intuitive energy in sessions all day long. And I'm so in the closet at this point. And at the end of the day, I literally threw my hands in the air and said, "Okay, I will do this."
Yeah.
And so I started taking clients on the side after hours in finance. And that led to me leaving finance and having a full-fledged business.
What's up, guys? I hope you're enjoying the show. If you love the show, please share it with a homie. It would mean the world to me. Also want to let you know that you can check out sebastiannam.com for more resources like this, and also www.goglobal.agency, a digital marketing agency that's end-to-end, helping purpose-driven and mission-driven brands scale their impact. Again, that's goglobal.agency or sebastiannam.com. Please hit me up straight up on Instagram, DM me, ask me questions. I'd love to connect with you and see what you thought about this episode or other episodes and what you want to hear more of. Much love. Wow. So that was the moment, that day, when you realized this is going to be my life's work. It was that day.
That was it.
Yeah. And you were doing it, hustling on the side while you were still doing the finance. And I love what you said about bridging earlier. You even kind of left me. I was like, I don't know how to respond to that, because I love the idea of like bridging both of these worlds, right? I love bridging spirituality and money and energy and you know, like logic and things like that, right? So
it's all connected.
It's all connected, right? So how are you, and you talk about intuitive and erotic intelligence, right? And so most people think of erotic as like, you know, sex. So first of all, so I want to talk about how intuitive and erotic are connected. But also, if you don't mind explaining our listeners really the difference between just erotic in general versus like erotic sex type thing.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll give a little backstory as to how I got to that. Cause I think
let's go back.
Actually,
let's go back to it. You said you were doing it, you were hustling on the side while you were still doing your finance gig.
Yeah.
When did you shift from side gig to main gig?
2019, I left finance to do this full time. I was doing workshops. I was getting private clients. I was starting to do digital courses. And I was like, I just have to follow this momentum. This is my calling. And again, was working with a lot of high achievers, a lot of executives at the time. Like early on, it was a lot of female executives. And after working in so many people's energy fields, again, I'm clairvoyant. I can see how your energy is moving, how it relates to different aspects of your life, the mission of your business, like all these different things. And I just started to realize that any issue somebody brought to me or any like upper limit that they were trying to break through, I could trace to either their relationship with their intuition or their relationship with their sexual energy.
Okay.
Because your intuition accesses intangible data.
Okay.
the quantum field, ideas. It's a way to access your inner world and your gut feelings. It's also an access point to like healing your programming and things like that. And then your sexual energy is the force of creation, which, yes, relates to the physical act of sex and procreation. But also, I discovered that your relationship to your sexual energy is your relationship to creation.
Your relationship to your sexual energy is your relationship to creation. So let's talk about different types of relationships to sexual energy as an example.
Okay. So two main things. Either somebody is really suppressed, sexually repressed, or they feel a lot of shame. They're kind of disconnected from that. Sex feels taboo. It's a kind of an avoidant and suppressed relationship with their sexual energy. Their creativity is repressed. They're not fully authentically speaking their truth or in their voice, in their confidence, because that whole creative expression is really shoved in a box.
Okay.
On the other end of the spectrum is like leaky sexual energy, everything with everyone and sex for everyone.
Yeah.
And it lacks boundaries.
And how does that manifest in life or business type thing?
Well, it could manifest in a lot of different ways, but for one, wherever if you don't have boundaries with your creative energy, with your life force, you probably don't have strong boundaries in business, in relationships, with clients. It relates to how much energy and sensation you're able to hold in your body. Because a lot of people, if you're very free-flowing with your sexual energy and you're sharing it freely, it's a leak. It's because you don't yet have the capacity to hold that amount of power in your body.
You need it in order to achieve certain things.
Exactly.
or being sort of like your maximum level of power or your highest version of yourself.
Exactly. So when we're leaking or overly sharing the sexual energy without boundaries, it's actually because we have not harnessed that power or the capacity to hold that much amount of power, which relates to not being able to hold large amounts of money, not being able to hold a strong container for a relationship, not being able to hold a really big picture vision and idea and create the boundaries around it to bring it to life.
Yeah.
So again, you can trace it to so many different areas, but broad strokes, it's how you hold your power in every different dynamic and situation.
What if I want to play a little devil's advocate here and say, what if someone's out there listening, or we know people that are like, okay, this person is absolutely crushing it in work, in their career, it's at least on the outside, it looks like they're playing big and they're just successful and manifesting things, but perhaps they're completely sexually suppressed or repressed, and their sexuality is just not where they wanted to be, and they're not happy in their relationship, or they can't seem to get dates or whatever, but everything on the outside is highly successful. How do you marry those two?
That's actually what I see a lot.
Okay.
Is people who've checked the boxes of success.
Yeah.
But then they're completely unfulfilled because that most intimate connection isn't really there. And there's a lot of shame. A lot of shame of this is the most primal thing. Why am I not fulfilled in this? Or they do have a lot of sexual relationships.
Yeah.
But it's not fulfilling.
Right.
They roll over and they're like, okay, this isn't what it's supposed to be, but they feel a lot of shame around even admitting that to themselves.
Yeah.
Especially men, because it feels like something that you need to be good at and to perform at, and it's a skill set that you need to have.
Yeah.
And so there's actually that deeper, intimate connection that's missing, and it's really that intimate connection with yourself.
Yeah, I think for sure you nailed it. In terms of men, I think we definitely take pride in being good at sex or being able to please your woman, or, et cetera, et cetera. Because it seems like that's from a societal standpoint, it is the man's responsibility to please the woman and to be this sort of sexual icon or whatever it is,
right.
But yeah, that's interesting in terms of how those things come into play together? What is the other side of that? What is the side of someone who believes that they are totally in their sexuality and, they're attracting what they want and this and that, but then on the business side of things, like nothing's happening for them, or they can't, like the external stuff. What does that flip side look like?
I mean, it's different for every person. So let's see what would be a general connection point or bridge. Okay. Ooh, there's a few different ones, but one that feels relevant right now is kind of that over sexualization is actually a numbing agent.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that dopamine hit, or using sex as a means of feeling connection, of feeling love, of feeling worthy, and really outsourcing your power in that way. So on the surface, it might look like, oh, I'm in my power. I'm in my sexual power. Like I have a good sexual relationship, but actually you're outsourcing your power to the sexual partner or to the sexual relationship to feel valued, loved, appreciated, good at something. And so you're likely outsourcing your power in business as well, or in your social life as well, because you haven't harnessed that.
What does outsourcing power in business look like to you?
So that could be, well, if you're an employee, that could be like outsourcing it to your boss. Like my boss is in charge of, why haven't I had a raise, or why aren't I climbing the ladder? Now, that's probably less relevant for this audience. For entrepreneurs,
there's all kinds of people.
Yeah, all kinds of people. For entrepreneurs, what was the question?
The outsourcing power. So what does outsourcing power really look like? So you're saying like, one is like you're putting your power in the boss. Like I don't really have the power. Other people are making decisions for you.
Mm-hmm. I think in entrepreneurship, there's a lot of, it's like anywhere that you place your focus externally before internally is how you outsource your power. So for example, entrepreneurship, if you're like, well, let me just look at the market and see what gaps there are in the market. Now, that's not necessarily outsourcing your power, but it's kind of, again, a broad brushstroke example, rather than like, I have this idea, this intuitive idea that I feel passionate about, that I want to bring. You are in your power with this idea that you uniquely see, have, and sense. But instead of just running with that, you're like, well, wait, let me go to the market and my competitors and ask my friends and do all these polls and all these things. Market research is important. I'm not knocking that.
Yeah, I was going to say, but that's part of the bridging, right?
But that's
you do want to bridge it. It's like the balance between the market research and you do this sort of like...
And it's where you are placing the value. Like if you allow external circumstances or external data to override your own idea, your own passionate thing, then they're in conflict. They're at odds. Or to your clients. I see people outsource their power to their clients, and it's sneaky. You don't even realize it. To where you feel so emotionally connected to if somebody signs a contract or not, or you feel valued and you feel great if they do, or you're insufficient if they don't. You're outsourcing your value or your self-worth to people outside of you, your clients, your collaborators, etc.
It's really, it's a lot easier said than done, because we just automatically go into that, like that. It's so easy to put your worth around the big contract or the big collaboration or the big boss or celebrity that gave you the validation that your work was good. It's tough because we kind of grew up that way. But I just posted a video on TikTok and Instagram this week, or a few weeks ago when this goes out, that was all about high involvement, low attachment, right? And so it's like high involvement, low attachment, and it's something that that I've been taught at early on through my mother, who's very wise and incredible. But like high involvement, low attachment, like fully passionate in it. You go all the way in. It doesn't mean that you don't try to get the contract. It doesn't mean that you don't try to do the thing or achieve the thing. But if you could really detach your self-worth around that thing succeeding or not, that tends to be the cheat code to making it happen. It tends to be the reason why things actually go your way. It's just a really tough practice, high involvement, low attachment, but it is the cheat code.
I love that phrase though, high involvement, low attachment. And the energetic reason for that is when you let go of attachment, you become more magnetic. Because you're not attaching your energy.
Why is that? Yeah.
You're not so a cord of attachment is basically imagine an umbilical cord.
Right.
That let's say you're the prospective client. I really want you to sign the contract. And I send over the proposal and I'm waiting.
Yeah.
And instead of just letting it go and moving on with my life, knowing that I am who I am and I know my value and my worth and I know it and it's done. Instead, you're plugged into it. There's an umbilical cord plugged into you, into the contract, and the energy is kind of being siphoned. It's being tugged on. It pulls on your mind. It pulls on your energy. It pulls on your heart. It pulls on your self-worth. So energetically, there's this cord between us, and likely unconsciously, but consciously or unconsciously, the other person feels that. It feels needy. It feels like I need you in order to get I need the money. I need the validation. It's a turnoff, just like in a relationship.
Totally.
You don't want to date somebody who's needy.
Yeah.
You want to date somebody who's whole and sovereign and confident in and of themselves. And when you are like that, it's attractive. It's magnetic.
And that's one thing that we've learned early on when we start liking, the other guy or girl or whatever, you learn that early on. It's like, hey, if you're cool, they'll like you, but if you're really needy, you're not going to get that person. That's something we learn in junior high. Yeah. And it's kind of the same thing. I like that. I really like the analogy and the visual of the umbilical cord and somebody being able to feel that needy energy and them not being a turn off.
Yeah.
Okay. So Jess, you talk about intuitive and erotic intelligence. And so these things I assume they're connected, but they're also two different things. So can you talk about that?
Yeah. So first, I like to call it integrated intelligence.
Okay.
As humans, we have different types of intelligence. We have our mental intelligence, emotional intelligence, somatic intelligence, which is your body, and those are the three primary. The two higher intelligences that really require the three primary to be in harmony are your intuitive intelligence, which accesses intangible data, the world of energy, the quantum field, ideas, possibility. And your erotic intelligence, which is your creative intelligence.
Okay. We've been talking about both this whole time.
Yes.
Okay.
And they're different because one of them, the intuitive intelligence, it's the GPS system. It's the intangible data. It's the unseen world. The creative intelligence is how you bring it into form.
Okay.
It's how you bring the intangible into the tangible world through your body.
Beautiful.
Because the human body is the bridge between the quantum field, energy, frequency, and physical form.
Got it.
Make sense?
Very fun. I like that.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's how they're connected, and that's how they're different. So in terms of turning those on, those two different ones on, how do we start? How do we begin to turn it on?
So I used to do this differently. Today I've developed a very efficient method. But you have to realize that most people, our intuition is already on.
Yeah.
We're just not listening to it.
True.
We don't know what that voice sounds like. We're too busy listening to the thoughts in our head, which 90% of them aren't even real.
Right.
Beliefs are just a thought that you continue to think. That doesn't make it real. But most of us are so stuck in those deep neural pathways of thoughts we've continued to think forever and ever and ever, thoughts that we didn't even choose, that our intuitive information is being skewed because it's being filtered through our internal world. So as far as intuitive intelligence is concerned, one of the first steps is just learn the voice. And that's very simple. In a room full of people, I'll tell everybody to close your eyes
Wow, let's do it.
Do it. So close your eyes, take a deep breath, and tune into the voice of logic. And place your hands on your body where you sense the voice of logic. And then start to tune into what that voice sounds like, feels like. And if it were to say something to you right now, what would that be?
Should I say it out loud?
Sure.
Well, we were just dealing with technical issues. Got to make sure I remember. I want to ask everything to Jess. Now we got to keep this flow. It's kind of a bit erratic. It's like making sure that it's like making sure that everything's in check. It's like check.
Checking the boxes, erratic.
Yeah.
Does it feel like
Fast.
fast paced? Okay, beautiful. So now put your hands down. Take a deep breath. Clear your mind. Imagine feeling space in your brain, in your head. Clearing the noise. And now breathe into your body and ask your body, where is the voice of intuition? Just locate in this moment the voice of intuition in your body that tunes into the subtle knowing, the subtle senses. There you go. And notice what that voice of intuition sounds like, feels like, and what it might say to you right now.
This is right here.
We're here.
Mm-hmm.
And how does that voice show up in comparison?
It's a lot more calm, more confident, peaceful.
Calm, confident, peaceful, and deeper in your body, like more in the heart,
Right.
plexus type of area. Okay, so you just located the two voices.
Yeah.
Most people know when they're in their head. You know when you're stuck in your head. You know when you're looping in thought.
Yeah.
They just don't know how to get out of it.
Right.
So it's simple. Create space in your brain. Just breathe. Imagine feeling space in your brain and then breathe into your body. The body is the bridge. If you want to shift from your logic, your mental intelligence into your intuition, get into your body. Because when you're in your body, you're not in your head. When you're in your head, you're not in your body. You're kind of disconnected. You're stuck up here. It's like a jail cell. And people don't know how to get out of it.
Yeah.
And so once you learn the voice, it's really quite simple. And then with any decision that you're making, especially business decisions, consult both. I've done this.
Yeah.
I did this in La Jolla at an executive leadership training. I had like a 3-hour training with an executive team. And I told them to bring something that was happening in their business that they wanted to come together on and to get intuitive insight on. And they brought something specific that they were working through. And I did a similar exercise with everybody on the team. And I had them get 2 different colored pens, one color for logic, one color for intuition. We did this exact same thing, but longer.
Okay.
And I had them tune into logic and then write it out. Everything that your mind says about this problem, this issue, this challenge, whatever that thing is. Great. They got all of the mental data down. Then we did the same thing, tuned into intuition and free wrote on what does intuition say about this. And then I had them share. Now, some of these people were the biggest skeptics in the world. They were like, I can't even like sit still in Shavasana. I'm checking off my to-do list when I'm not supposed to be meditating. Like, this is so woo-woo for me.
Yeah.
But this absolutely changed my life. I accessed something I've never accessed before. And they were shocked that multiple people in the room got the exact same intuitive data.
Really?
Different parts of the team, they were in different segments of the business. They got the same or aligning intuitive data, and it just helped them realize, oh my God, there's so much data that we've been not bringing to the table, that we've been leaving out of the boardroom and out of decisions, that actually makes this so much more streamlined and so much easier. And they immediately connected dots.
So cool.
And it impacted them instantaneously.
That's so cool.
So it can be very tangible in that way. So that's the intuitive piece. The erotic piece, I'll define it first. I consider the erotic the connection between your heart and sex, your genitals and your heart. Now, sexual energy, that's just in the genitals. That's just in the lower part of the body. So when your energy is moving through there, it's sexual energy.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily erotic.
Okay.
You can have a sexual experience without it being an erotic experience. If there's no heart connection,
Yeah.
it's not erotic in my definition.
Yeah.
So your erotic intelligence is your life force energy, that creative force, not only moving through the primal center of production,
Right.
creation,
The sexual energy.
the sexual energy,
Yeah.
it's also moving through the heart, which means you're creating for the greater good.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Because your heart is what attunes to other hearts. It's what feels. It feels emotions. It feels what's best for the whole. So really, it's a higher creative intelligence because it's able to create, again, for the greater good. And now one isn't better than the other. It's just kind of an evolution of consciousness. If we're just creating from this primal desire, that can get you really, really far. But I've seen a lot of people create companies based on this primal desire, and then it's created, and it's like, well, now what? Or it's not sustainable because it doesn't benefit the employees. It wasn't built in a way that is for the good of the whole ecosystem.
Yeah.
And so it can crumble really fast. Whereas if you're creating from this integrated place of erotic intelligence, again, it's creating for the good of the whole. And the way that we harness that is by reconnecting our heart and sex. And that's where most of the population is disconnected. And you can see this in relationships. You see people who are in really loving relationships. They love each other, but like they're best friends.
Yeah.
But there's no sex life.
Yeah.
And, you know, the kind of age-old tale of we have sex once a week or once a month on this day, and it's the same position and it's the same. It's like robotic. It's like that actual eros and excitement and passion isn't really there. And you see the opposite. You see people who have these incredibly luscious sex lives, but there's no deep emotional connection, or they're really craving deeper intimacy and it's not there. And so it's like they're experiencing one or the other.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people fall in the category of experiencing one or the other. And that's just a symptom of these centers being disconnected.
I feel like if I had to guess, the former seems easier to fix, quote unquote. So in my opinion, like if somebody their hearts were connected, but the sensuality and the sex wasn't, I feel like that's an easier fix, quote unquote, you know, where you can work on and kind of easier achieve it than if you have the sexuality and then not the heart. Because I don't know how much you can, quote unquote, fix the heart or work on it.
I mean, it's all about opening the heart. And the thing is, they go hand in hand, because most people that the sex isn't there, one or both of the partners, I mean, that's where our trauma is stored. So your heart has to open, and you have to be able to feel the shame, the trauma, the abandonment, the like deep, dark wounding that we carry, because our sexual energy is sourced in the body, the same place that most of our trauma is stored. So that's why a lot of people's sexual experiences are actually expressed through trauma.
Yeah.
And you can, I was going in a different direction, but you can see that through looking at people's desires and kinks. And you can trace people's desires and kinks, a lot of them, to unmet childhood needs or unexpressed desires, things like that, because that energy wants to express. It's just doing so unconsciously. So it depends on the person whether one is more or less difficult, but either way, it requires feeling things that you've avoided and facing parts of yourself that feel uncomfortable to reconnect those things and act from an integrated place. And a lot of people are just kind of fearful of facing the deep, dark recesses.
Not easy work.
You know, it's hard. It's hard.
So this is so fun, Jess, in terms of, you know, I know you work with like CEOs, founders, celebrities, etc. And the ability to harness our erotic power and intuitive power can really move mountains. And you talked a little bit about this sort of thing of like, well, somebody could really be in their creative energy and create a successful business, but really they're either unfulfilled or didn't really do anything for the rest of the employees or all the stakeholders involved. That's actually one of the pillars of conscious capitalism is stakeholder orientation, meaning like it has to benefit everybody. It's not just the client or the customer, but it's also all of the employers and also the employees, and the vendors and the communities involved. So that's a really strong pillar of conscious capitalism. And how do we start harnessing that? So we talked about intuition. We talked about erotic. Is it eroticism, or is it erotic intuition, or is it or erotic power? What do you call it?
You can call. I use erotic and creative synonymously.
Okay.
So it's really your intuitive intelligence and your creative or erotic intelligence.
Got it. But you were saying that the erotic is the connection between the heart and the sexuality, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So how do we know that our intuition is there? Most people know it's there. They just got to learn to listen to the difference. And you gave us a nice example of like an exercise that we did here, how we can kind of tap into both of those and start using our intuition to bring that in as a new data point to start helping our businesses or whatever else we may be wanting to improve in our lives or bring in. So about how do we tap more into the erotic to bring that into our lives?
Getting into your body in a slow, subtle, sensual way. And that's why the erotic also opens up your intuitive senses, because you're tuning into subtle sensation, subtle information. Intuition reads subtle energy. And when you locate yourself in your body with subtle movement, subtle breath, specifically opening your chest. I like to do rotational movements, opening your chest, opening your hips, doing hip rolls, doing body rolls. These movements that are considered erotic or primal, spreading your legs, sticking out your tongue, all of these somatic movements in the body that we're told are dirty or primal, or they are primal, or wrong or taboo. Sure. It's like, no, actually our bodies know exactly what they're doing, and we need to be in a deep squat. And we need to rotate our hips because that loosens the energy and it breathes into your life force. It starts to move through your body. So I do dance for a lot of people, and there's specific movements that I'll guide people through to simply start getting into your body. And even if something that you can do like at your desk in between meetings is basic breath work. So if you breathe into your genitals, start breathing energy there. Yeah. For men, it's oftentimes in the balls. That is where you ground your energy. That is where you feel the weight of gravity. You feel your literal seed, the seed of life, the seed of creation in this part of the body that most people are afraid to even say the word. But if you breathe there, that is your grounding.
So you visualize breathing there,
basically. Visualize breathing there and move your awareness there to feel sensation there. What does that part of your body feel like? For women, it might be the womb or the cervix or just the vagina in general. And just breathe your energy there. And once you can start to feel it, imagine it, sense it, then begin to breathe your energy up, all the way until it gets into your head and back down. And it's a very simple practice, but it connects all of your centers. It gets your awareness centered on your body and on subtle sensation. Which also attunes you to subtle information, subtle data.
So then now that's helping you move into the intuitive power. So we're now working with our breath, working with subtle energies around our eroticism, around our sensuality, sexuality, and that's going to now help us tap into this intuitive field that's going to help us make better informed decisions, more from the heart, things that are for the greater good, and ultimately they're going to open us up to, to more money and better opportunities, or to have the right conversations, or just stop the conversations when they need to be stopped, right?
Yes, and it changes boundaries. Exactly. Yeah. And it changes your internal pace. Because if you notice how you said your logic, your brain was like fast-paced, and then you end up moving fast. And then it's messier action. And then you're making mistakes. And then you have to go clean up the mess. It feels very jerky and rigid.
Yeah.
Versus when you just do a minute of that simple breath exercise, breathing up and down your body, you're naturally connecting those centers and you're tuning into a slower internal pace.
Yeah.
And when you're moving through the world, especially through business, from a slower internal pace, your nervous system is stabilized.
Love that.
And your clients are going to feel that.
Yeah.
Your employees are going to feel that. Everybody's going to feel that. And they're going to feel like, oh, he's grounded. He's confident. He's steady. I trust him. They don't know why, but I trust him because
Love
you
that.
feel steady, solid, and grounded. And a natural byproduct is that slower internal pace also opens up this into the intuitive senses to receive the subtle data, and it's not being skewed by this frantic mind.
Yeah. I love that.
It can be that simple.
That's really cool. That's great advice. And also, we've been taught that fast pace is better because we think we can achieve more and be more productive. And it's just not the case. I do an exercise that even when we were laughing earlier about the tech thing, and I was kind of like, my head was all over the place and all that. And I do a grounding cord visualization where I just see a cord attached to everything, attached to my legs, my genitals, and all that stuff. And then I see everything that's all around going in my head just go down like a vacuum and go down on the ground, and that tends to ground me fairly fast. But yeah, I have an example too. One time I was doing this talk thing, and as soon as I got up on the stage, like I actually started feeling really nervous, and I wasn't expecting to feel nervous. And I know that my breath is super powerful, so I just started really breathing into my belly and really deep, and I slowed down. Long story short is I gave this little talk thing, and I was still quite nervous, right? And so I thought I kind of sucked. That's what I thought. Like I was like, oh man, I sucked. I was so fucking nervous. I think I know I missed some stuff I wanted to say, but thank God, I mean, at least I really got into my breath, and I know that I was able to slow down or whatever. So anyways, later on I go through and I look at the tape, and I was like, oh my God, I did not suck. I was just like, I was so nervous, but I still knew the exercise of my grounding and my breath, that I slowed down my breathing so much, and I slowed down so much, and there was so much pausing in between things that I looked incredibly confident in my delivery. So even though I was nervous, and even though I did forget some shit, nobody knows what you forget anyway. Right. But the slowing down, what you were saying, the slowing down causes other people to see you with this person knows their shit, right?
Exactly. And it's a different form of productivity.
Right.
It really can reframe what productive looks and feels like, because you think doing a lot of tangible things, and so I can see them tangibly is what's most productive. But it's actually not, because a lot of those tangible things aren't even relevant. You're just creating busy work for yourself to feel productive. Whereas when you breathe and you come from that slower internal pace, your intuitive intelligence tells you what's actually most significant to do right now. What's the most important step to take right now? And then you do that, and that's more productive than doing 10 steps, whereas 9 of them were irrelevant. Yeah,
it's just changing your mindset about what productivity actually is.
Right.
I love it. I think that's a great note to end and to close on. This has been wonderful, Jess.
Thank you.
You're truly a conscious leader, so please keep doing you. I just want to acknowledge you. You're doing some beautiful things, and I'm excited to see what's ahead for you. For anyone listening, and Jess and I are friends, and we've been doing some cool stuff in the background and encouraging each other on taking big steps and playing bigger in our lives. So I'm excited for all of us.
I am too. Thank you for having me. This is wonderful.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you like the show, please subscribe or share with a homie. It means the world to me. And honestly, straight up, just hit me up. The easiest way on Instagram, SEBNAUM. Ask me questions. I want to be here as a resource and a source of inspiration. I hope you have a beautiful rest of the day. Much love.